We are both firm believers in the idea that players should get what they can, when they can, while they can, but you have to have a pretty clear sense of what your value is.
That's right.
If you're the long snapper, don't bother. Backup quarterback, don't waste your time. You have to be in that sweet spot where when you take a stand, the team is going to respond the way that you want. And the problem is the Jets haven't. Now, it may be the Jets are at fault. Dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things, and the dysfunction runs all the way up to ownership, and that's what sets the tone for the entire organization. So I guess Woody Johnson won't be giving me a jar of honey from the Queen's personal garden, but if he ever does, I probably won't eat it. But that's been the common thread for the Jets for the past 25 years that he's owned the team. Dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things. But you got to factor that in when you're working out your strategy. Holding out and drawing the line in the sand and not showing up might work for some teams. Didn't work for the Jets because for whatever reason, the Jets decided to dig in on this. The Jets decided to say, even though it's meaningless, hey, this guy told us he was going to show up. He didn't show up. He gave us his word. And we're gonna play hardball with him. And that was one of the tweets yesterday from, basically the external PR staff of the Jets saying, well, they'll just hold on to his rights and he'll still be a Jet next year if he doesn't show up.
Right.
There's on the screen the statement from Joe Douglas because Haason Reddick is now asked to be traded, and the Jets are saying, no, they're not going to trade him, period. So they'll just sit and wait, and he'll continue to be fined. They're non-waivable fines once you get past your rookie contract. He'll be fined for preseason games missed. The fines at some point end, and it just becomes you're losing game checks, which is a pretty big deal too.
That's what I mean. That's where I get back into that is not only are we not getting in shape and we're getting fines now, but Haason Reddick, like, what are we going to do? Come on. $15 million a year here we're talking about. You're going to let some of that go down the drain here for this? Again, I just, as a guy that's pro player, and I get it, and I know there's not a lot of tools that the player has to fight against a team here, right? I'm just saying I don't know if this is the right way to do it, to maximize himself here. And again, I do think it's odd that we never heard any rumblings about, hey, there might be a contract coming after the trade or any of that. I know the Jets, we can certainly classify as dysfunctional teams do, dysfunctional things. There's no doubt about that. I hear you. But I will say, this regime that we have there with the Jets right now, I don't see them screwing over players or mistreating guys, right? I mean, there seems to be an environment of player-happy, player-friendly there with the New York Jets right now. So that's where I think it's a little different. But I understand. And Haason Reddick, he's played really well. Those stats you rattled off, they're legit. There's no doubt about it. The problem with what Haason Reddick did is he signed his contract with the Eagles, and that position in the market kind of exploded right around that time or after that. So he's looking at it and going, wait, there's some guys that I think I'm as good at or maybe even better right now who are making $5, $6, $7 million a year. And I understand his pain there totally, but this is a tough situation. And I don't know if he's going to come out a winner in this one.
$14.25 million is his salary for this year. That's less than half of the top of the market.
Yeah.
He's better than half of the top of the market.
No
You're
doubt.
Right. He's not TJ Watt, but he's closer to TJ Watt than fifth-round pick who hasn't done jack squat.
That's right.
He's drawing the line in the sand, and this is where you get to a point that your resolve gets tested. Do you trust your agent? Has your agent's plan worked? And for the team, look, Joe Douglas has done great things with the Jets. Robert Saleh has done, for the most part, great things with the Jets, although the offensive play calling and design has been lacking. The dysfunction, when I refer to it, goes to the top.
I know.
Because you're working against that.
Right.
As Joe Douglas, whoever knows who's making these decisions. But one of the things that 24 years of doing this has taught me, the owners are very involved. Their fingerprints are all over everything, and they act like they're not so they don't get blamed. So they can blame whoever's in the job of GM or head coach and fire them, blame them. They've got a buyout, so they can't say anything about it until years later. And even then, if you start popping off about owners, good luck getting hired by another team. But the owners are the ones who meddle. It used to be, meddling. Nobody meddles. They all meddle. The exception is the ones who don't meddle. And Woody Johnson and his brother Christopher are involved. They're clearly involved. And who knows who's the one saying, well, no, we're not gonna blink. We're not gonna cave. We're not gonna do anything. He's under contract. He needs to honor his contract. So that's the message the Jets are sending. The other thing, too, Chris, can we put the statement back up from Joe Douglas? I can't help but wonder whether this is a roundabout way of inviting everyone in the NFL to call and make a trade offer. When you issue a statement, we will not trade him, that leaves no doubt that he's available.
Right.
Because you're broaching the subject yourself. We aren't trading, because we all know, we've heard this. It goes back to Rick Spielman and Percy Harvin. We have no intent to trade Percy Harvin. He was traded the next day. This means go ahead and call. Go ahead and call. The worst they can do is hang up the phone. Hey, we meant what we said. Oh, sorry. Usually they don't. So if there was any doubt as to whether or not it's worth calling the Jets, if you're interested in Haason Reddick, now's the time to do it. But if anybody does it and there's interest, you better be sure you get a contract with Haason Reddick.
That's right.
Before you do the trade.
Seriously. Or we'll be talking about this all over again in the new place. Well, again, I think being in two different places in the offseason here over a short period of time does him no favors right now, if that's the case too. Teams that are thinking about it or might want to call or go, wait, what's going on? This is a little weird, right? We know how NFL executives are and everything that way. Wait, here, it's 2 teams in 4 months that they can't deal with them? So that's not a good look for him either. That's where I don't agree with the process in which they're handling this. I think that's where, I don't think it's benefiting him all the way. And to the point of the statement and like the trade and all that, and you're right. I mean, it certainly opens Pandora's box for that to happen. She's in there. He might be available. I hear you.
Whole lot of Pandora.
A whole lot of Pandora. But also, I don't think that the Jets don't want to trade him. The Jets are ready. They're going, wait, we got you. We're ready to be a Super Bowl team here. Who are we going to trade for that we're going to get right now that's going to help this team right now? They want now. This might be Aaron Rodgers' only year. They got to make it happen. So I don't think they want to trade this guy for future assets as it pertains to their life right now. And we know the Jets are made and built to win the AFC East and be a player in the AFC in general.
You made a point earlier, too, about the fact that he's bounced around. And Arizona, Carolina, you look at how they've been recently. Like, is it the player or is it the team? But then there's Philadelphia. For Philadelphia to pull the ripcord, that's not a dysfunctional organization.
No doubt.
And it's like...
So that's what I mean. There's some flags there.
At what point is it on you as the player?
Right.
And again, self-awareness is so important in all this. When you take a stand, when you cave, how you're viewed. And yeah, at some level, you got to look at this if you're Haason Reddick and his representatives, and you got to say, are we really playing this the right way? Is there a better way out of this maze? Is there a way that we can save face? This is the issue. This is the Cuban Missile Crisis situation. You got to find something. You got to find the missiles you can take out of Turkey. You got to find something that you can do to let Haason Reddick save face and show up. That's the challenge now. That's what the Jets need to come up with. If the Jets want him in there, they have to propose a solution that allows him to declare victory and kind of fool himself into thinking that he's won.
I don't disagree with you there. I don't know what that is or what they can do, that middle ground there that they can come to. But, yeah, help him save face. Because you got to think right now, hey, not only around the league will he be looked at as we look right now, a little bit like, is there something with this guy? Do we really want to deal with him? The guys in the locker room with the Jets got to be thinking that right now. They got to be going, what? He hasn't even worked out here yet, and he wants more money? Like, what? We got guys here that this is a top 5 defense. We're legit here. Like, well, I mean, come on, be a part of this, right? So they got to be looking at him here a little weird or at least side-eye. I don't know where it goes, but again, I don't agree with Haason Reddick's approach, and I say that respectfully as in wanting the most for him, and I think the best thing for him would be to get in there, get in shape, get on the edge of that defense, right? Rack up sacks and numbers and all of that, and be a part of hopefully a team that's really good, and you'll have a chance to get someone more, money and a contract number that I think he would like next year. But I just don't think that's happening with the Jets right now. I don't think they're going to throw him more money. It doesn't seem like that.
I pride myself on having a fairly thorough knowledge of the collective bargaining agreement and the little nuances and the fines and this, that, and the other thing. But Gary has stumped me. Gary has asked me a question I do not know the answer to off the top of my head. What happens to the fines if Reddick gets traded again, because per the 2020 CBA, beyond your rookie contract, the fines cannot be waived. They must be collected. Well, there's never going to be a game check issued by the Jets to Haason Reddick if he would get traded. How do you collect it? You chase him around with a bill? Do you send it to a collection agency? Like, what happens with those fines?
Good question. I don't know there.
I've texted someone who would know, and if I get an answer at some point between now and the end of the show, I will stop everything and share the answer with you, even if we moved on to a completely.
That was a big pull, though, when you said, take the missiles out of Turkey, right? That was a good pull by you. Good history lesson right there. You got to give them something, right? You got to make them feel good about something. I know. I like that.
It comes from the only book you've ever read.
That's right. It's the JFK era. I'm brushed up on that history right there.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.